Hi, everyone. Hello. Welcome. Good morning. Welcome to today's webinar with ST Microelectronics, Witekio, and the Embedded Kit. Hi. I can see you all coming in. Hello, hello. I am just going to wait for like a minute more before we get going, just to make sure that more people can join. But welcome. Today's webinar, as you can see, this way, I'm not being blind, is all about Linux long-term maintenance on MPU, how to keep your product in the market and secure for longer. So quite an important one. And it's great because we've got both a software tool, and a hardware perspective on it. So hopefully it's going to be great. If you are watching on StreamYard, hi, you can actually ask questions and comments in the box. I'm pointing over here, but it should be over here. And at the end of the session, we will be answering live questions. So please do put your questions in the chat and we'll answer them at the end. So yes. Okay, let's get going. Hello, everyone. My name is Georgie Ryan Casling. I'm the Head of Partnerships and Marketing for Witekio. Welcome to the webinar. Before we get going, very, very quickly, if you don't know who Witekio are because you've come through either ST, our lovely partners, or the Embedded Kit, let me just explain. Witekio are a software services company, and we design, build, and run chip-to-cloud platforms. We have 5 offices. We've been going for 21 years. Over 180 Witekians, and we're partners with some of the biggest names in tech. And of course, our favorite, but don't tell the others, ST Microelectronics. As part of what we do, we go through different industries, from public vending machines to home appliances, medical devices, heavy-duty machines, you name it. And as I said, we do chip to cloud. So that includes low-level, firmware, OS, applications, cloud, maintenance, security, and beyond. So that is it. Very, very short pitch from me over, and back onto the agenda of today's topic. So today is more of a panel discussion rather than a Witekio talks, ST talks, the Embedded Kit talks. So you're going to hear our experts kind of talk around the subject together to give you as much value as possible. We're going to be going over the importance of long-term maintenance, why you need to worry about it, or why you even are thinking about it, the regulatory landscape. So how does long-term maintenance play into that? How to develop secure products, and how to make sure everything stays secure for the amount of time that your product is in the market. And then, as I said at the beginning, we're going to have a live Q&A. So please do ask your questions in the comments, which is down the side. And at the end, we'll answer them, hopefully. So without further ado, I'm going to be quiet, and I'm going to hand over to our lovely speakers to introduce themselves. Pierre, would you like to go first?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Georgie, for this introduction. So I'm Pierre. I'm head of product for the Embedded Kit, building a solution and accelerators for OEMs that would like to develop product. And I will help today to share our point of view on the regulatory and the product development. Laurent? You are mute.
So thanks, Laurent, but you are removed. So I will start now. I will to give you the end just after. So my name is Vincent Lezès-Pringal. I'm part of the MPU division for ST Microelectronics. I'm the MPU ecosystem marketing manager. So, Laurent, now I can
Thank you, Vincent. I forgot to push the button. Sorry, I'm Laurent. I'm from ST Microelectronics, and I'm security marketing for MPU. I would love to share my viewpoint on this very important topic. Julien?
Thank you, Laurent. I'm Julien Bernet. I'm head of security at Witekio. So we support our customers in setting up a secure product. So I'm in charge of supporting our customer for security risk analysis and secure development and secure maintenance.
Okay, I think we can start with a few words on the importance of long-term maintenance. So, as you know, embedded systems are already facing to many challenges, and they are already under attack. and we see attacks more and more oftenly. I would not say every day, but every week. To deploy security update is not, it is a long story, and this is mainly due to the complexity of both assessment and how to communicate clearly with customers. Product life cycles is getting more and more long, and it is something which is increasing the probability of an attack. Okay, it is a direct consequence. There are very few entities right now which are collecting vulnerabilities, and the main ones that you may know are Mitre and NIST. Okay. So we have to consider the large attack surface for both software and hardware, and as a direct consequence, it means that vulnerabilities are popping up every day. With the communication and the change of communication from opaque to be more transparent is somehow also feeding the hackers. So long-term maintenance and security, okay, they are bringing the confidence to customers and end users that the product that they have would be reliable for long term and capable to evolve during its lifetime. Julien, what are your thoughts on this importance?
Well, indeed, what we have today, as opposed to a few years back, is that the landscape of security of the security issues in Europe and in the world is more and more complex, and it's also in terms of impact, because due to the interconnectedness of several of all the, I mean, most of the systems, it becomes really important to figure out to understand that non-critical products may have impact on critical ones. That's one thing. And that's an important one. It means that we need to take care about the security of all products and not only the ones that are involved in critical activities. And that's really a very important point. Another topic also is privacy, obviously. There are more and more personal data that are handled by the all kinds of connected products, and that's definitely a topic, and it's a topic on both of these topics. The government had to step up, had to propose a framework where everyone would fit in, so as to protect critical infrastructures and to protect the citizens' privacy. So that's why in Europe, for instance, and in the US, we've seen several regulatory initiatives that would deal with these important challenges of having secure product, having updatable products. In Europe, you've got a whole lot of them. To be clear, right today the focus is really on two very important directives for the embedded products. The first one is the RED directive, the Radio Equipment Directive, which imposes now several cybersecurity requirements on connected products, on wireless products. The second one is the hot topic today, is the Cyber Resilience Act, the European Cyber Resilience Act, which imposes to all products a large set of requirements. One of them is to have security risk assessment. It's mandatory. You need to drive your secure development using your security assessment. So that's all in the Cyber Resilience Act, and that's somehow underlying in the Radio Equipment Directive. You need to do vulnerability monitoring, and you need to protect against fraud. You need to protect the personal data. And one of the important topics also is that you need to be aware to make the authorities aware of any vulnerability or incident, and that's during the whole lifetime of the product. So it means that manufacturers should deliver products that can be updated, that can be monitored, and for which they will be accountable for any new incident. Laurent, do you have any thoughts on this?
Yes. As you mentioned, European regulation is changing the rules, and they are pushing the lines. Okay, and it is a customer or end user privacy centric. So really to make sure that the end user privacy is more protected than before. Don't be naive. It is as well to put more control in authorities' hands. And in addition, okay, what is very it is the first point of this slide. It is really the entry point is the risk assessment, and really it is really to provide better mitigation between the risk and the solutions to get an adequate solution and homogeneous. And so I propose to move to the next slide and to have a look on what is going on in the US. Thank you. And so in the US, it is slightly different to Europe. There, the regulation is at countryside, but as well as at the state side. So it is managed and defined by governments, as for Europe, but it could be adopted all over the country or only state by state. It is mainly based on security standards, for its application. And there, NIST, the National Institute Standardization Body in the US, is playing a central role there. As for US regulation, they are based on voluntary application. So it is not by law like what we have in Europe. And it is generally based on security standards. So if we take the example of Cyber Trust Mark case, so this is an IoT voluntary labeling program, which has been initiated a year ago from now with a pilot, and it brings two things. So this is it is including the Connectivity Standard Alliance, which is a kind of a superset of all the standards. And it is the CSA is the security certification program, right? It is not only it is not a labeling program, and it is covering several standards. So the first one is the one that you can see on the bottom middle is a NIST 8425, and there is another standard, which is not from NIST, which is from ETSI. You know, ETSI is this European telecom standardization body so for Europe and telecom. And the two are just a requirement, for cybersecurity, and they are both targeting IoT consumer devices. So this is not standards as we know, defining the requirements and that we have to comply with. This is just guidelines. These are just some really high-level requirements to that you have to comply with. There is yes, inside the CSAs, yes, there is a third standard coming from Singapore, the CSA CLS, which is an addition program for labeling. So it is just for the user to know when the user is buying its device, to know what is the security level of this product. So Cyber Trust Mark is so the relation with Europe could be this one. It is recognizing the CESIP and PSA certification scheme. CESIP and PSA are IoT-based certification scheme involving a third party, with a certification body. And CESIP has been defined by a global platform, where PSA has been defined by. The scope of those regulations is very wide, and it is not only limited to product development phase, but it is also considering the complete supply chain, and it is a huge change there. Julien, would you please let us more about your thoughts about USA regulation?
Yes, but I will take the next slide to discuss on this. So basically, what we propose is to focus on this, for today's talk, on this free regulation. Technically speaking, as you said, the Cyber Trust Mark is not a regulation, it's more like a voluntary compliance program. Just to mention that the Executive Order 14028 is more binding, but only at the federal level, so for federal agencies. But let's say it's not our topic today. So if we focus on this free regulation, two are Europeans, the RED and the Cyber Events Act, and the third one is in the US. We can see some common grounds because obviously we do not, manufacturers do not want to follow several programs without capitalizing about what's in common between them. So on the RED side, first of all, it's mandatory next August, so we are still right in the transition period. The cybersecurity requirements really focus on three aspects. The first one is network resilience. Second one is privacy and fraud protection, and the third one is related to personal data. It's very much advised to lead everything with a security risk assessment, although it's not written black and white in the law. But now what we have for the Radio Equipment Directive, and it's very recent, we've got harmonized standard under the form of the EN 18031, which is available in several member states in Europe, that outlines the necessity for security risk assessment, and that outlines requirements that are really on par with the other regulations we see here. On the Cyber Resilience Act, well, it should be written in the law somewhere in the coming weeks. And then we'll have a transition period that will end up 3 years later. So really the application date for the CRA should be somewhere in 2027. Somehow it's larger than the Radio Equipment Directive. First of all, because it concerns all products and not only the ones with wireless capabilities. Second of all, because now the security risk assessment is really mandatory. It's part of the thing you have to provide for your compliance, and you need to ensure it's accurate and it's used for the development. And a new aspect introduced as a mandatory requirement by the CRA is the obligation to monitor vulnerabilities, as I said earlier, and to update accordingly and warn the authorities in case of new vulnerabilities and inform what is the plan to fix the vulnerabilities. So that's really a game changer in Europe. That will be a game changer once it's done. Now we don't have harmonized standard for the CRA. So we know the main corpus of requirements, but we will need some more concrete guidelines to understand precisely how to get there. But we've got quite a precise idea, and we will discuss about it on the next slide. And in the Cyber Trust Map program, in my understanding, well, we have basically the same elements, because all of these regulations do not propose a completely new thing. They are basically concerned with the same subject, which is having products that are secure on the long run, and that can be robust against a given threat landscape. So that's really an important topic to keep in mind, and this is where I would like you, Laurent, maybe if you want to develop. How can we, as a manufacturer, what's the right way to make the right choices to deal with these requirements?
Yes, I think that okay. Maybe I can share a few words on RED first. RED, in ST standpoint, so MCU, MPU are not are out of the scope of RED. Okay, because they are not featuring an antenna, but our development boards are in the scope. Okay, so it is really applicable to those boards. Where CRA we cannot escape. There it is for any product having the managing the security digital assets. And CRA, as you mentioned, yes. Today there is no harmonized standard. before I say that we have to explain what is an harmonized standard. It is a standard that is just the intention or the objective to get 100% the same measurement, okay, whatever the operator would be, whatever the tool used would be, and for security-related topic, it is very challenging, right? And so it is something that can be reproduced and something recognized by Europe. And this is a big challenge because today there is no harmonized standard. So it means that Europe is today calling for harmonized standard, but okay, it will be required to define what would be this standard, and it could be a long topic to complete. So as you mentioned, yes, CRA is targeting not only a part of the development, yes, of a product, but it includes the complete chain of development from design to end of life. So it is really challenging there. We believe that CRA would replace at a point of time RED, okay, when the CRA would be well established. As you can see into this slide for CRA, there is a minimum time for the maintenance, which is 5 years, right? During which we have to maintain the product. And we have a retention requirement for security updates of 10 years. So 10 years total. So it is 5 years for maintenance, plus in addition, after those 5 years, 5 additional years. So it is minimum requirements. Right?
And obviously, if your product stays on the field for more than 5 years, if your support period is 15 years, let's say, then you should provide maintenance for 15 years.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, in fact, CRA application is different per stakeholder. Okay, and I propose to have a look on and starting from the hardware foundation. Okay, with STM32 products is the next slide. So, please, yes, thank you. So, okay, so the intention of this discussion is to share different standpoints, okay, between our 3 companies on those 2 regulations. Okay, so starting from the red, so you can see, yes, red intention. So I just remember red application would be 2025, while CRA will be 2 years after. So red is targeting network monitoring, fraud protection, and privacy protection. CRA on the right side is targeting security by design, security by default, which is a big change there. Okay, now it is not an option to activate the security. It is by the default. One important point that we already addressed is this risk assessment, okay, that we have to start from the beginning. The vulnerability, so we have to communicate to both ENISA and CSIRT, and it is mandatory. We have to manage vulnerabilities, to not only to report but to address and to fix. And we have to reduce the complexity and of managing the data and yes, we have to reduce this. We think that those 2 regulations are defining the common core of 9 different points. Okay, integrity. To reduce the attack surface, to update, to provide the security updates, to provide an access control, to protect the confidentiality, to minimize the impact, to mitigate the impact, to at product launch not having vulnerabilities, known vulnerabilities, and to monitor security over the product life lifetime. So from STM32 products, okay, you know that we have both not certified products and certified products over CESIP and the PSA certification scheme. We have a production longevity program of minimum 10 years, depending on the product. So I'm inviting you to have a look on the st.com website to have a look on what is your product longevity. CRI is defining 4 different classes. Okay, default category, class 1 and class 2. The 4th one is not for MCU, MPU, it is more for smart cards. And depending on the security, so default category, you may think that product not having the security functions could fall into this category, where class 1, which is defining product having the security functions, so I would say any STM32 product. And class 2 is for products featuring tampering resistance. To help our customers to build their own risk assessment, okay, we are already producing today documents that we call security target and security guidance for CESIP certified products. For products which will not be CESIP certified, we would produce a generic security guidance document. And I see that for you, Pierre, I think that it could be interesting to get your viewpoint from embedded kit standpoint. Pierre?
Yes, thank you, Laurent, for this interesting introduction to the needs, in fact, when we are building a product for compliance with RED and CRA. And on the next slide, we will see that, and I will try to take an example with an MPU-based product. We will start with the concept of having a Yocto Linux-based product, and we will try to understand what is needed to be compliant. And in fact, I here only focusing on embedded system. If we take just one example, for example, limit the attack surface. What does that mean from an operating system development or from an embedded application development? That means you need to be careful with the type of component you are embedded in your system. You need to ensure that you have correctly configured your system to, for example, in production, completely disable the USB port, completely disable. From a software point of view, it means correctly customize your Linux to remove the unnecessary component. With limiting this attack surface, in fact, you will limit the number of components in your Yocto distribution, and that will have a positive effect. That's why I'm talking about Yocto here, because in embedded system, it really makes sense to be able to customize this operating system to reduce the number of components. That's exactly the same for the security update. You will need to implement a mechanism to perform security update of your system, maybe update your operating system, maybe update only your application, depending on the life cycle of deployment of the update. So the core concept is to properly think about the Linux distribution, because as you can see, they have an impact in all the different compliance points. The second topic is about vulnerability management. When we are thinking about no vulnerabilities, that means we need to understand which vulnerabilities is applicable to our system. So that's why you will need a tools for vulnerability monitoring, plus a process to manage this monitoring of the vulnerability. And that also means competency. And we will see how we can manage this competency just after. At the end, you will also need probably a testing purpose. So as you expect quality, as you can expect regular release, because you will perform this security update on a regular basis, having automated testing and being able to provide as soon as possible this update is something key. So 3 tools, Yocto distribution well configured, embedded testing tools, and the vulnerability management tools is something that seems to be very important to be compliant with this new regulation. We are not talking about connectivity and the platform, but it could make sense also for another discussion. Now, maybe Julien, on your point of view, maybe you can deep dive into the associated service, associated routine and process that could make sense for this Sierra and Red directive.
Yes, indeed, because both the Sierra and the Red and any cybersecurity framework really should be focused at the end of the day on the final product. So it's really important to have a security risk assessment that is really focused on the product functionality, interaction with its environment, and what kind of attack vectors it provides to external attacker and how they are mitigated. So it means that we need to as a developer, we need to figure out what are the relevant attack paths, and for each of them that is exploitable, come up with a suitable answer, which can be in terms of integrity protection, limiting the attack surface for some kind of attack path. For instance, avoiding some kind of dumb possibility where some privacy impacting software would already be inserted into the final product and available to an attacker. When doing this risk analysis, it's really important that we can leverage several assumptions on the platform level. And by platform level, I mean the hardware platform level and the software platform level. So this is where it's really important to have both a security risk assessment at the hardware level and the security target for the hardware, because we can leverage the efficiency of the security functions that are available and provided by the hardware, such as a secure boot, proper key storage and protection, sound cryptography, isolation capabilities. So having a security target means that these assumptions we can take for granted for the specific hardware we choose. So choosing the right hardware is also one of the tasks of the security risk analysis. And also having the right foundational software platform is really important because you don't want to start from scratch every time. If you are doing Linux, it's really important to have a Linux distribution that is easily minimal, where you can get rid of superfluous software that could be attack path, that has that brings the right tools in terms of protection of the assets, in integrity and confidentiality, that has a secure boot that can be easily configured. And we need to have it with a proper, again, security documentation that will help us leverage assumption made on the robustness of this platform, and the fact that the software platform is using the hardware mechanism in the right way. So these two are really key points in building a secure product and having a security risk analysis. Then comes the secure development, and again, it's not. It's slightly different to do secure development as opposed to purely functional development, because you will need to ensure that there is some consistency across the whole development. So it's not only ensuring that the security mechanisms are there, it's ensuring that every brick fits together in the puzzle in the right way. So we need security oversight on this. It can be done from a methodological perspective. Also, you can put in any kind of code reviews, security code reviews, security testing. All these activities are really also key points in ensuring that the global product will be secure. Then, in terms of long-term maintenance, you need to have zero exploitable vulnerability from day one, and you need to keep it like this. So you need some tooling. Using Yocto is a very good idea because Yocto already comes with the tooling that is required to get a proper software bill of material. That is the list of precisely every software you have and every version of this software. Then you did some tooling to request the public vulnerability database, like the NVD from the NIST, for instance. And in an ideal case, you need this tooling to help reduce the expert time needed in assessing the vulnerabilities. For instance, a Linux kernel comes with thousands of vulnerabilities. It's huge. And usually you don't have expert time to spend 2 hours on each and every one of these thousands of vulnerabilities. So what you want is some way of boiling this number by having some automatic triage between the false positives, the ones that we can get rid of because we know that, for instance, a patch is already there, and the ones that need some expert time. So these three activities combine together on the several requirements that are the consequences of the RED and CRA and also the US regulations to have a very consistent answer. And this constitutes really the security oversight of the whole development and life cycle of any software project now. It means that, well, it's not new and it's not really something that has been introduced neither by the RED or by the CRA, but it's something that is really classical in terms of secure development. You need to start with the risk assessment, but the important point is that the risk assessment is not only a document that you will provide for compliance. So the outcome of this risk assessment should be used to provide, well, what Laurent introduced, what is a security target. That is a list of the threats and attack path and how they are mitigated, what are the security functions in your product. Then you need to develop these ones. So from these security objectives that are in the security target, you want to concretize this in terms of security requirements and down to earth development, validation, and deployment actions for your development team. And then you need to deal with the complete life of the product. So you need vulnerabilities monitoring from day one, vulnerability assessment, and the capacity to update. Laurent, how does it fit with your proposition?
Yes, our proposition. Yes, as you know, we are the first stakeholder of the supply chain, okay? And it is, as ST, we are focusing mainly on the hardware, and we are proposing hardware countermeasures against some attacks. But we are also delivering embedded software, and we have to protect it as well. But it is really, yes, this... yes, it is a point that we are considering from day one, okay, when defining the product. And I guess, okay, UPR, you have as well, yes, a proposition there.
Yeah. I think, as explained before, sorry, the most important is to be able to be compliant with these different rules and implement first during the development some complex features like at least at the software level, secure boot, secure storage, and then being able to manage the vulnerability long range. So we have different possibility to do that. You can definitely, you as an equipment manufacturer, do that on your own and work with the internal competencies. You can, if you are limited in terms of competency or bandwidth, work with a service company that can do everything tailor-made for you. And we can also work on a intermediate model where you can accelerate your development and ease your vulnerability management with off-the-shelf IPs that could definitely supporting you in this logic. But the most important for me here to be sure it's understood by everybody is about the competency at the end, because doing a security risk assessment, doing secure development and implement sometimes huge and complex features, and doing vulnerability management will need some skills. I mean, cybersecurity skills with a deep understanding of the impact of cybersecurity on the Linux kernel and the software component, Linux development skills, Yocto skills when you want to implement a tailor-made image and customized image, application development, and testing for the long-term vulnerabilities on a regular basis release. So really important to understand the needs, the needed competencies, and the solution you can put in place.
Indeed, yes, I suggest to move to okay, what are the challenges when you are developing secure software? So the first one is, okay, is how to be capable to comply to regulation, okay, how to make sure that the maintenance will be deployed and developed. Communication and transparency. This is a key new topic. Okay, we are forced by this regulation to communicate better and to provide transparency. Transparency, you mentioned about Julien with software bill of material. Okay, really describing the content of your delivery, and but at the same time, okay, we have to take into consideration the cost, of course, and the different revenues. There are some solutions, and Pierre mentioned one of these. Okay, really to adopt or to get the right test keys and to get the proper mindset to change the culture, because communicating transparently is a big change, right? And we have to change the culture there. Okay, because this will be a costly, internally costly process. We need sponsoring at a high management level. Definitely, and it is something very key. And you have to assess and select crucially the right methods and the right tools. This is really the two key points to consider. And okay, here, yes, there are tools, there are many things, but okay. For me, one question is raising: how do ST manage to keep hardware secure? I think that Vincent, you have an idea on that. On the
Yes, thank you, Laurent. I will give you an overview what is coming from the ecosystem from ST for this part. So first, today, ST is offering long-term production of stereo for ST32 MPU products. So concerning the security maintenance and updated address is not only to the software but also the hardware. So in case of hardware issue, depending on the problem, fix should be done during the life cycle of the products. Concerning the software, ST deliver and upstream the BSP through the Open ST Linux distribution based on the Octo. This means for the security updated, we do by two ways. The first one is following the community upstream. The second one is providing severe check and correction via patches and ST software maintenance strategy. About the certification, the STM32 is CZIP 3 and PSA1 certified, which can be reused for the customer to their final product thanks to the security function mapping. The latest products, STM32 and P25, is targeting CZIP 3 and PSA3. Concerning the software maintenance, adopting by ST for Open ST Linux distribution from the beginning is to rebase Open ST every year on the latest long-term support Linux kernel and to maintain this distribution during 2 years. You have the graph on the right of the slide. So it means two distributions are running the same time based on the two latest LTS Linux kernel distant from 1 year. This strategy allows to follow and integrate all security patches and updates provided by the Linux community. So that's the part for the ecosystem from ST. I think now I can do like Julien to comment for the Witekio side, perhaps.
Yeah, sure. As discussed before, we've got 3 main blocks of activities. One is really related to doing the security risk assessment. The second one is doing the secure development itself, and the third one is long-term maintenance, ensuring that the product stays secure for its whole support period. So in the next slide, we describe what are Witekio's offers. So we've got support offers for doing the security risk assessment. Indeed, what we do is that we do security workshops because the risk assessment should be the full property of the developer and not the third party that helped the developer come with this. So basically, the security workshop are interactive sessions where we help the developers build the proper risk assessment, the proper threat model, explore all the attack path, and come up with the security objectives. This security workshop will provide requirements for secure development. So that's the second way Witekio can help the developers. We will basically take as input security requirements for a product, ensure that the solution proposed for security is consistent, and develop all the security mechanism and basically the whole product while ensuring that there is no mismatch between the various tools configurations, that there is nothing that has been overlooked. And basically, while doing this, because it always comes when you are dealing with actual development and the actual product, you've got some reality shocks. Then we will update the risk assessment, because it's really paramount that the risk assessment is aligned with the actual product, even after any events that may happen during the development and during the product lifetime. So about the product lifetime, the third way we can help our customers is by supporting them for the long-term maintenance, and even doing the long-term maintenance basically as a whole, because we've got security experts that are and Linux experts that will check all the new vulnerabilities on the product, that will ensure that there is a proper solution, that will check their exploitability first, and that can also help our customers selecting the right security patches, or selecting other solutions when there is no security patch. So that's a third way we can help our customer keeping their product secure on the long run, while again adjusting the security risk assessment, which will always be the main visibility for the security of the product. For doing this, all these activities, it's really important to leverage good tools. So Pierre, I will let you introduce what kind of tools we can build upon, and we are using, at least at Witekio, for several clients, several customers to do this.
Sure. Thank you, Julien. So as you explained, the embedded kit aims to deliver the off-the-shelf software IPs to help OEMs to build their product in a fastest way and a secured way. So we are offering a set of 4 different tools, including Welma, which is a Yocto distribution that respects the state-of-the-art of configuration and usage of Yocto, and also integrating a lot of major cybersecurity functions, like enabling secure boot, like enabling secure update, like enabling secure storage for building a product that will target CRA, something that will definitely help to accelerate the development. We are also offering, if we stay in the context of cybersecurity, vulnerability management tools. So the default Yocto CV check tools definitely is definitely limited in terms of quality of the scan, because it will give a lot of false positive. And as Julien explained before, reviewing each vulnerability take time, take competency. So optimizing with an automatic assessment really makes sense. I will give you a little bit more detail about CV scan just after. And then we are offering also an automated testing tools for ensuring that you can validate your product on the best and most efficient way. And there is also Camea, which is an IoT device management platform to ensure the capabilities to remotely manage the fleet of devices. So the global for product is a coherent ecosystem. Each product is working independently, and you can definitely use CV scan on dedicated or your custom Yocto, even build root, because today CV scan also support build root operating system. To finish the webinar today, I just would like to do a quick demonstration of what using tools for doing monitoring and fixing vulnerability could look like. So what we can expect from a CV scanner, first detect the exact vulnerabilities applicable to your system. So generate a software bill of material, extracting the CV from the public database, and properly extract the CV in regard of your exact kernel configuration, your exact Yocto configuration. We really aim at the embedded kit to be accurate on that topic. Then you will have to analyze that. We have a first automatic assessment that will be done based on Git history, based on our knowledge about the vulnerabilities. It will generate a report, and then allowing you to have and to perform this manual assessment. And this manual assessment will be the beginning of the life cycle management of your vulnerabilities by you guys, vulnerability experts or cybersecurity expert, Linux expert, deep diving into all the remaining vulnerable indicated vulnerabilities and trying to explain why this one is applicable, this one is not, how we can find an issue, a way to fix the problem. At the end, you will monitor that on a long range. So on the last slide, you will see the dashboard of CVScan, where you can have a global understanding on where you are and what is the current state of your system. On the lower part, you will see the number of vulnerabilities classified by criticality. On the top right lower part, you can see the progress of your manual assessment, reviewing after review and assessment after assessment, how you are progressing in reviewing all the potential vulnerability of your system. On the next slide, you can see the detail, the list of all the vulnerability applicable with different classification, including a package, including the attack vector. And you can already see that the automatic assessment performs some review, like, for example, for the one we are seeing here, we can see that some patches are available to helping you to fix that. So when again, the objective is to accelerate this development, this maintenance, by giving you a maximum of information to do this operation of long-term and cybersecurity long-term maintenance. The next slide is about the detail of one vulnerability. So you deep dive into one vulnerabilities and you try to understand the impact. So you will have access to the NIST database directly through a link. You have some detail about why, the reason, and the automatic assessment. So you are able to deep dive and trying to find a way to fix or at least accept these vulnerabilities. And at the end, with the next slide, you will see that you can manage the life cycle by editing your own manual assessment, saying, okay, for this vulnerability, I understand the risk, I understand the potential solution, and you will be able to define an action. You can accept the risk because maybe this vulnerability is not exploitable because you have disabled, I don't know, the Wi-Fi attack vector. Maybe you have an action to do, a pending action, an ongoing action, like I would like to fix these vulnerabilities. And maybe you can just indicate that the vulnerability is exploitable and an action is needed to monitor that at a long range. In the next and last slide, you will see that this is not just one state, but an history of state that will allowing you to understand how this is managed by your team, by the team that will do the long-term maintenance. And this life cycle management plus a regular scan of your system will allowing you to perform a good and a proper cybersecurity long-term maintenance. And that's it for me today.
Oh, don't know what, I'm just adding everybody back in. Thank you so much, guys. Add Julian as well. There we go. Thank you so much for your talk and for your expert advice. That was great. I have some questions from online, but everybody else who's here and afraid to ask, you can ask your questions right down there. That's for everyone on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter/X, and Facebook as well. Forgot Facebook then. Hi. So one of the questions we had over email was, I have an application targeting Class 2 CRA certification. Can I select a lower class certified MCU MPU? I'm assuming this is for ST. Laurent, you're on mute. Let me try.
Yes, sorry. Yes, exactly. Of course, you can select a lower class for your device, and this is something that so unfortunately it is not mentioned into the regulation, but it is something that you can do. Take care. It would require high skill really to develop carefully the right security countermeasures and the right solution. But of course, it is doable. Of course. I don't know, Pierre and Julia, if you have.
Yeah, just to add up, in general, yeah, I completely agree with you, Laurent. But you need to take care about how do you cross the gap, and then you need to be aware that your product will mandatory be evaluated by a third-party evaluation facility. And also it depends on the category of product. Not sure, for instance, class 2 product, you have like tamper resistant MCU, which you may not implement by using a non-tamper resistant MCU, or otherwise you would have to actually put some very high effort into this. So, but that's just an edge case.
Okay, perfect. Right, let's say there's a question, but I'm gonna phrase it in my way. So basically, if I'm a device maker and I haven't really cared about the CRA, or I've done a little bit but not all of it, and the first day comes, what happens after that CRA application date? If you've been successful and you've done everything, but also if you haven't. I think Julien and Laurent.
Yeah, I can try to start this one. I'm not completely sure I understand properly, but let's give it a try. What happens is that, okay, first of all, at day one, if you are right, then you should have provided all the mandatory documentation that includes the security risk assessment, that includes technical documentation, and including the software bill of material, at least to the notified body or to the right authorities. Then what happens is that you need to monitor vulnerabilities. That's one thing. We've talked about this. You need to monitor incidents also. So there are two things that may happen. Maybe you will notice that there is an incident on your product, in which case you will have first to report, to come up with a recovery plan, and to communicate this recovery plan, including some delay for how you will act. What may also happen is that maybe the ENISA or maybe your local notified body, your national notified body, will come to you and tell you either we've noticed that your product is compromised, or we've noticed that your product may be compromised because it uses some components that we know, because there has been another reporting, is vulnerable as an incident. In this case, again, you will have to come up with a recovery plan and explain how you will get rid of the vulnerable component. The worst case being, as always, that your product may be removed from the market if you fail to come up with a proper recovery plan that would be deemed relevant and efficient for dealing with this vulnerability.
Lauren, anything to add?
Yes, I think that we can add some comments. I think that from day one, there will be a fear not being compliant, and for sure, okay, it would generate a lot of stress, and I would say that device makers would for sure do the minimum. Okay, the minimum to pass the performance against CRA, and then I believe there would be a second step, okay, where people would really take benefit of CRA regulation, adopting the tools and methods really to ease their life and their stress. And but because you are right, Julien, if you are catched without the certification, okay, you may get a fine and a ticket on it and for it. But okay, I do believe that the first day, yes, regulation will be quite flexible. Okay, with people.
Okay, so not you don't need to stress too much, but stress enough. Okay?
Exactly.
Be prepared, but not over prepared. Okay, I like that. I can do that. Well, that's my life. What is another question we've had is, what is the additional cost of securing a product on the long term?
So I can try to just share my point of view. I think there is a lot of topic to understand and to manage. There is an impact on the hardware, on the software, on the process, but there is also, we have to understand that it's just best practices. So we have a lot of people, a lot of customers that are already using standard secured by design methodology. So if you are already doing just standard and best practices for cybersecurity, the extra cost will definitely not be or close to zero. What will change tomorrow is that if you are not doing that, you will have to. And for this, implementing a secured methodology when you have nothing, definitely you will have some extra cost in understanding the methodology, doing a risk assessment if you have not already done it, and implement in a secure way your solution. What we are doing at the Embedded Kit is to try to enable a part of this secure development by pre-configured the software layers to accelerate and reduce the cost of securing a secured platform. So it will have for sure extra cost, but there is also maybe some way to find to identify to reduce this cost at the end.
Also, there is another effect we can expect if we look at the larger picture, is that there will be cost, but there will also be benefits. In the sense that if the CA cyber resilience Act works as expected, then it will strengthen the intercommunication between the various actors of a product. One of the effects we may expect from this, we all know that most software rely on 90% of open source blocks, and 90 is maybe a very low number. We know also that the open source community is already doing a good job in terms of providing security in their products, providing visibility on the vulnerabilities, mostly, especially on the big projects. What we can expect from this is that since the big manufacturers, the big players in the ecosystem will have to be active regarding vulnerabilities. Of course, there is this notion of open source still works, but they will have to fix things, and they will have to bring back these fixes to the community. This is part of the CRA as well. So we could expect also to have some, let's say, either better quality or some economy done by leveraging the work of all these big players that will give back to the community in terms of security patches, research and development, etc. And in any case, the better, a tighter integration between all the players is a good thing, and is, I'm sure, something everyone will take benefit from.
Perfect. We all work together, we all win. That's why it's a three-way webinar, right? ST, Witekio, and the Embedded Kit. Yes. I can't see any other questions, so we will leave it there. Thank you so much to our lovely speakers. Thank you to everyone for joining us, and we'll see you again at the next one. Have a lovely day, everybody. Bye.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.